Hello, Living Way. It's hard to believe we've been at this, they tell me, 5 weeks. So I just wanted to give you a little update on how it's gone for me. And everything's been really good, except there was one day when I think if someone had come to the door, which they shouldn't have, but it's a good thing they didn't, because I'd have killed them. I was just in one of those moods where I just couldn't stand anything. So I decided I better ask the Lord what was going on, and He gave me some things to hang on to that I just wanted to share with you. And the first one is, you know, they're saying we're all in this together, and the fact is we are, and we're all having to endure the same kinds of things. But you are in this with all of us here by God's plan. He planned it this way. He planned this time for you to be alive. And what a great time to be alive. Because you can see what's going on between a couple of years ago I mentioned the civil war of ungodly versus godly in the United States today. And that's not Democrat versus Republican. That's godly and ungodly. But in this day and age in which we are right now, there's another line being drawn. And that line is the line for believers. And that line, where there's a chasm between the godly and ungodly, that's getting larger. There's also a chasm developing between those who are playing the game, which by that I mean in football terms, you're on the field, you're running the plays, you're making touchdowns, as opposed to those that sit in the bleachers and yell. And what God wants us to do is to realize He's gifted us for this very time. He's given you and me gifts, and we are to be out. We are not free to do it now. But once we get sprung, released, set free, we need to be doing what God has gifted us to do. I really feel like this has been a time for us to reflect on who we are, what we've been doing, and what we need to do. To kind of pull from Pastor Randy's sermon Sunday, we need to be in prayer. We need to be taking in the Word. We need to be letting it change us, because once this is over, the world as we know it today is going to be forever changed. How? I don't know, but it'll be changed. And we need to be ready to step out with these people, to step out with our brothers and sisters, and to reach out to the people, whether it's praying for them, whether it's salvation, whether it's healing. You need to be involved now, building yourself up. And as I say that, I say, don't forget to pray in tongues every day, because that's what Paul says builds you up. So as we get built up, we will be released to go out and do what God has ordained us to do. He gifted you, and He's going to ask you one day, what did you do with the gifts I gave you? And that answer will determine not whether you're in heaven or not, but it will determine maybe where you live in heaven and how many little stones you have in your crown, if you get a crown. Anyway, we need to be doing what God has called us to do. Be what God has called us to be. Don't waste this time. Use it so that we accomplish His purposes, because the day is coming when we are released and we go out, that we will look at one another and say, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing the Father's business. I must be about my Father's business. Because in this day and age, as we see the time approaching, we don't have time to be messing around and playing games with God and with one another. We need to be serious. We need to be focused on what He's called us to do. He has gifted you. You may not know the gift. Ask Him, He'll tell you. Or ask your friend, or ask your pastors. They'll tell you. Because we can see in you what your gifting is, even if you don't see it. So be blessed. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. And hopefully we'll see you sometime before Christmas.